Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space,
And I'm Paradox.
formerly known as...
I forgot to say that.
No, we'll keep going. It's fine.
Well, you can go ahead and pickle that part out. Formerly known as Star.
Formerly known as Star. So you've changed your name once so far, or have you changed it multiple times?
No, I've actually only changed it once. It's been Boomstar since, oh dear God, since the beginning. When I came up with the name as a small child, I called fireworks Boomstars. And I was
Yeah.
so when I was trying to come up with a name for my persona at the time, I was like, man, I don't know what to call it. And then I was like, man, let's give it a real weird name. Like their name is Boomstar. I'm like, that's it. And then I've gotten nicknames for it. It's like Boom, Boomy, Star, Starry. There was a group of people on Skype that years and years ago, group of furries on Skype where they were all younger, teenagers, and they called me Mama Star for a while, and I was like, oh, I like this. Yeah. So there was that. That was eons ago, though.
Whatever you do, don't be a sparrow and change your name once every 2 years or so.
Well,
I've known her as Motsicles, then it was Bean, then it was something else. Oh, Rory, I think. Then it was Barra, I think is what it is now. She's just got so many different names that I've just kind of just lost it. And I think I've gotten it down. I've finally gotten Sparrow down, but we'll see what it is in 2 years.
It's probably gonna be I don't know, Rocket or something.
Yeah. Rocket's one of her personas. I think it's like a parrot.
That is funny. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Rocket the parrot. But no, I changed it to Paradox because, and even though I still have my old persona, I am. Paradoxes are contrary to what should exist. It's like, oh, that shouldn't be there. So
it's kind of perfect for this topic too.
Kind of in some shape or form or way.
You also got married recently.
Shh, I did. It's kind of on the down low right now. We haven't made
not anymore.
Well, the podcast is different, I think, but yes, so we did. We haven't made any sort of official sort of announcements whatever on Facebook, mainly because I didn't want things to get to certain family members that right now I kind of wanted to have a year of peace where I'm I can just spend a year and not have to worry about bullshit. That's my one swear word for today. From my mom, who I haven't spoken to in a little over a year. I didn't even bother with my dad because he already told me, he's like, well, do whatever you want to do to be happy, but I don't want anything to do with the wedding, whatever, anything. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm not telling you anything. So, but yeah, no, we got married on April 25th, which if you know, I don't know, April 25th is a special day because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. That's a Miss Congeniality reference.
Is that a real direct quote?
Yes.
Exact day?
Okay, listen, I can do the whole thing. So the guy comes out and he goes,
I love that movie.
It's so good. She goes, oh, that's a tough one. I'd have to say April 25th because it's not too hot and not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. And there's just dead silence and they're just slow clapping, yay.
You're right. If I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description below because it's pretty funny.
It's so good. That would be so good. But yeah, no, so we got courthouse married. That's what happened there. We do still plan on having a bigger celebration with more family and friends and whatnot next year. So there's that, probably around the same time. But yeah, so we got courthouse married, signed our papers. We had this really cute old man marry us. His name is Frank. He was the mayor of a local town that's in the area. But it was just on my family side, it was literally just my brother and my aunt. My older sister would have come, but she recently just moved to the terrible state of Florida, not necessarily by choice.
Ew.
Yeah, she kind of followed her boyfriend there, but they've been together for 6 years or so. They should just get married. Anyway, he recently got a job down there, and so they moved down there. Florida's gross. I'm sorry to anybody who lives in Florida. I pray to all the gods for you because dear God, it's awful down there.
Here's my swear word. Ron DeSantis can go suck my dick.
Yes, period.
Yeah.
For real. Oh my God. It's so terrible.
If y'all don't know, like Florida right now, there's just a lot of turmoil going on. The NAACP has basically put out an announcement saying that it's not safe for people of color to travel to Florida. And then, of course, there's also the LGBTQ community that is being ostracized left and right. And there are these laws that are going in left and right that's really making it almost inhabitable to live there as an LGBTQ plus person. So, it's just whatever.
Yeah, it really is. So, unfortunately, I will not be visiting my sister anytime soon. I'm a little less worried about the alligators and whatnot, actually, which is a little bit of a shock because I'm like, at first I'm like, don't get eaten by the alligators. I send her like memes and stuff all the time. I'm like, I
You
tease her
should have
about it,
been
but
like
then,
gator later, sis.
yeah. Oh my gosh. But no, now I'm like, well, I know that you're an ally, so I'm like, I don't want you to get shot.
Yeah.
Like, so, but anyway, so yeah, she would have been there, but she just could not, but that's okay. But no, we had a nice little ceremony after that. We went to a local buffet because I was like, hey, why don't we just go to a buffet? Like, one, it's going to cover everybody's basis and it's going to be endless food. So why not? So that's what we did. We tried to plan on going like out and having like a little mini like honeymoon sort of thing. We planned on going to like a place that's called Hocking Hills and like rent a cabin and like go hiking and whatnot. But like we decided not to do that. We decided just to kind of stay home and we were going to plan events like to do throughout the week. So we went thrift shopping, we went to the zoo, we went to a rage room, which was really fun.
I've always wanted to do one of those.
Oh my God, it was so nice because not only did I get married on the 25th, but I also like a couple days later on the 28th, it marked my 1 year of like moving out from like my mom's house and like I haven't spoken to my mom in like
Mm.
over a year. So like that's the day that we went to a rage room. So it was really nice. I felt a lot of relief after breaking a ton of stuff. So
For those who don't know, rage rooms are just like these rooms that you pay money to go into, and then they give you like a bat or whatever, and you just beat the shiz out of objects and things inside that room. It's
oh yeah,
amazing.
it was lots of fun. Like, cause we there was a lot of destruction that we both did, but like after it, we both just kind of gave each other a hug, and then like after that, the lady there that was running it, her and her husband, they were like, "All right, are you good? How you feeling?" And we're like, "Oh my gosh, we feel great." They gave us markers. We were allowed to write like a message on the wall inside the room, which was cool. So I just put 1 year free for me, and I can't remember what my wife put, but she put something. I don't remember. I'll have to ask her. But anyway, yeah. So that's oh, and then we went puppy shopping because we're kind of
Sorry.
in the market for a dog. You're fine. Haven't gotten one yet, but we're thinking about it. But yeah, like I said, we did lots of stuff, and it was nice, very relaxing. Yeah, I don't know. And then afterward, it was just like, all right, back to the grind, I guess. But like I said, not many people on like either one of our sides like really know. Oh, I will say real quick, what was really funny is that my aunt, oh dear God, I love my aunt. But so instead of doing like a walk down the aisle sort of thing, because again, we got courthouse married, we decided to do a first look. So like we didn't see what each other like looked like or anything like, until we were standing back to back and they're like, everybody got pictures, whatever. And then we turned around and we got like, first look at each other. My aunt, I showed up like almost an hour early because like that's just
Mhm.
me. My brother showed up about 15 minutes after I showed up, and then we were talking, and then my aunt showed up about 20 minutes after that. And I am literally waiting for my soon to be wife, and we're about to do like a first look sort of thing. We're waiting for everybody else to show up, because like we just had a small group.
Yeah.
And this bitch, she literally comes in, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you look great." First off, she shows up in a t-shirt and jeans.
Oh, come on.
And hold on, and then this tops it off, but like she's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a thrift store over there. I'm gonna go look at it." And I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?"
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. So then again, she goes over like across the street to this freaking like thrift store. And then as she's over there, I'm over like just waiting, again for my soon to be wife. Like I get a text message on my phone and she goes, "Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of neat stuff in here. You should totally come look." I'm like, "I am waiting to get married." Like, what the heck? Like I can't, like I love thrift stores, but I can't go. So
I'm doing something here.
yeah. But no, she was great. She ended up coming back in time for witnessing the ceremony and whatnot. And then after that, she ended up paying for my dinner, my wife's dinner, and my brother's dinner. So like, hooray! Thank you to my aunt. Like, but still, I was like, what are you doing? But that's it. That's the extent of me getting married. So
Yay,
yay!
lesbian lovers.
Close enough, but yeah.
Close enough. We'll go over that later. If you guys haven't figured it out by now, it's June, and that means it's Pride Month. And we're going to be talking a variety of Pride episodes this month. So I'm, pretty excited about that. I think gender and sexual identities, transgender rights and history, and big business versus pride. So those will be topics that we talk about this month. Before we go into the episode itself, I do want to put a listener discretion out there. We are going to be talking about certain things that may not be, what's the word?
All age appropriate?
Yeah, all age or necessarily acceptable, I guess you could say.
For younger audiences, just in case we have anybody under age of 18.
Yeah, so if you're under the age of 18 and you've got siblings or parents that, definitely can hear what you're listening to, maybe you don't want to listen to this one. I'm not saying that everything that we talk about is going to be, sexualized or 18 plus. It's just there are a few things in this topic that we do go over that could push that boundary. And I'm just kind of putting that warning out there right now so that no one gets in trouble.
I'm sorry. I just thought of something not funny.
What did you think of?
No, it has nothing to do with the episode.
But it's a side tangent, right?
It is. It's a little bit kind of.
Okay.
I happen to think of so my wife and I were watching a show on YouTube. It's very popular. It's called Hell of a Boss. Okay. Also, don't watch that unless you're 18 and up because it's very graphic and they swear a lot and it has adult content. Anyway, it's a cartoon, but it's wonderful. There's a scene where a character named Blitz, he just starts laughing. He goes, "Ha! There's dicks in the wall."
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's a cartoon, yes. Right? It's like an animation. Oh, yes. It's such a great episode.
Oh my god. Oh,
Felix loves that show. It's so great. I think the most recent episode came out like last week or something.
Yes, it did. It came out like 9 or 10 days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like we're in the beginning of season 2. We just finished season 1 and it's so good. Anyway, we can continue. I just happened to think about that part.
It's okay.
I was like
I mean, let's be honest. When you get Sparrow, god damn. Oh, shoot. There's my other swear word. Plural for the day. That'll be it. I promise. I'll use other words. I meant to say, whenever you get myself and Paradox in the room together and we're recording, it's side tangents nonstop, which I kind of feel like you guys expect anyways. So there you go. Getting back on track. We're not experts. We're not sexperts. I just wanted to say that because it sounds like fun. I pulled a lot of information from the web from I think it's called the gaypride.org, Planned Parenthood, the couple of government sites that I use to find definitions, like health government, I like the government, and just a variety of other things. So we're here to educate, but we're not here to offend. So if you ever get offended by something that maybe we misinterpreted or, maybe we just didn't get the information right, we're not here to offend, okay? We're just here to educate and have a good time. And so if you do come across something during today's episode and you're like, I don't think that's right, I don't think that's okay or correct, feel free to email us, or if you want to reach us quicker, you can just tweet us. It's @FromTheMuscle, and you can send us a message if you don't want to say it in front of everyone else, and let us know what your opinion is on that and what your thoughts are. And then what I'll try to do is go in and open up the episode and I'll just kind of add an addendum saying, hey, there's a point where we talked about this, but it's not quite as accurate as we thought it was, but we'll put that out there. Good Lord, did you hear that?
What was that?
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
God, it's our freaking Nazi kids above us, man. They're the worst. These kids run around. Okay, I get it. We're in a bottom level condo, but the people above us, I swear, have no regards to the people below them. Their kids run around they've got cement, boulders on their freaking feet. And there's just like all day long, especially when we get home. They jump off the bed, they're knocking each other down. There's like 6 kids for like a 3-bedroom like condo, and it's not a very big condo either. So it's just loud. But the moment I get home from work, where I'm already annoyed by people's coughing and sneezing at work because it's just nonstop. I want to come home and I want to just enjoy the house, but I can't because then we've got these little Nazi kids upstairs. I shouldn't say Nazi because it's not the right term. Turd Ferguson's upstairs that just rain hell on the ceiling, and it just sucks. So even like during recording, I'm always worried we're going to hear banging because it's like, come on, man. Just like pick a room and stay in it. God, crotch goblins, exactly. So anywho, today's topic, we're going over gender and sexual identities along with sexual orientation. The orientation doesn't necessarily play a pivotal role, but we will go over that particular subject a little bit later on. So why don't you take it away? What is sex other than the fact that it's when 2 people get together and play around under the sheets?
Okay, listen, you read my mind because you were going to say, what is sex? And I was
Bumping
like,
uglies.
Really?
Or
no, I was going to say a really fun exercise activity.
Hold on. As Liz Lemon would say, mommy, daddy, sheet monsters.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
Babe, which one of us is mommy? Which one of us is daddy?
I guess I would be the daddy. I'm a daddy bear. I'm a bear.
I was asking my wife, but okay.
Oh, I thought you were asking me. How am I supposed to know? I hate that question. When people ask you like, who's the man and the woman in this relationship? And I'm like, we're both the men in this relationship. I guess we're both the female as well. I guess I don't really.
It's like asking 2 chopsticks, which one is the fork and which one is the spoon?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Don't ask those questions, people. It's so
boomer. Stop it.
It is. I almost feel like it's almost sexist to ask that question.
It kind of is. Actually, okay, again, this is a side tangent. We're getting a little off topic, but that's okay. That's just how it rolls, again, with it's myself in space. But anyway, it's on the topic of what we're talking about right now, so there you go. Anyway, well, a question that I get, I don't usually get the question of, oh, well, who's the man? I get the question of, which one's the better cook? I'm like, do you think we just spend our lives in the kitchen? Like, what? I'm like, I guess we're just both pretty evenly matched. And they're like, that's not a good answer. They're like, no. Which one of you is better at cooking? And I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I cook and sometimes they cook, and that's it.
I'd say I'm an okay cook. I'm terrible at baking. I am great at like mixing flavors and, doing that kind of a thing. But when it comes to like baking and stuff, I am just the worst.
I can make pretty good cakes.
I tried to make a cake out of a box. That didn't go very well because I forgot to put water in it. And what did I do to think, why isn't this cake like baking? I add more oil and more oil. Thing takes like 3 hours to bake, man. Comes out like a hard brick.
Oh my God. You made brittle cake. It's okay. Kind of like brittle brownies or whatever.
It's just, it was sad. That's why I don't bake very much anymore because of that.
That's okay. All right. Anyway, so what is sex? We're getting back on the topic because, dear God, we are always distracted and tangent. That's it. So what is sex? It refers to a set of biological attributes in human and animals. It is primarily associated with physical and psychological features. Did I say that?
Physiological.
I had the dyslexia.
Psychological would be
physiological. There we go. God. Like I said, I read it wrong.
Anywho, we help each other out.
That's fine. Anyway, physiological, there we go. Features that include chromosomes, gene expression, hormone levels and function, and reproductive sexual anatomy. Sex is usually categorized as a female or male, but there are variation in biological attributes that comprise
sex.
Comprise sex and how those attributes are expressed. I did it somewhat. Yay!
You did it! Congratulations!
Gold star.
So sex is not just scissoring each other. It's also referring to.
Oh my God! Okay.
Biological aspects.
I have a funny story to tell you about the fucking. Okay. Oh God! I swear again. I'm sorry.
That's -1 point.
I know. Scissoring. Okay. So this is not a personal story between my wife and I, just to clarify. This is totally appropriate. It just was a funny thing that occurred. So it was literally right after the wedding, and we were all sitting at Golden Corral. All right, that's the buffet we chose.
Ew.
It's
Old
decent up here.
people.
It's okay. We had a bunch of old people with us. Anyway, it's okay.
Gross.
It was delicious. Shut up. Anyway, so we were sitting there, and my new mother-in-law, okay, so my wife's mom, looked at us and was like, "So have you what are you guys gonna do with your last names? Are you guys gonna And she did the motion for scissoring with her hands, but she said hyphenating, and we were like, "No, don't do that." And
It's not the same thing.
yeah, we were like, "No," and she was like, "I don't understand. What did I do?" And we were like, "Don't do that." And then she realized what she did. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm innocent. I didn't know." So anyway, goodness, it just was. It
I'm
just something
curious to
funny
see what that
happened.
actually looked like, because if I do like the gesture with both my hands of scissoring, it I don't know. If you're curious as to what scissoring is, I mean, it's obvious it's sex, but I would Google it.
It's really hard to do, and I don't recommend. I don't know. Maybe I'm just broken. I don't do it right.
I guess like a mild version of what you could call scissoring is if you ever watched Blades of Glory when they're on the ice and they're skating together and they come together at the very end with their legs up and they smack together, kind of like scissoring, but for women. So anyways, there are different types of sex attributes and characteristics. So like genitalia and other sexual reproductive parts and chromosomes, genes, hormones, and secondary physical features that emerge as a result of puberty. So that's like a technical term. It's probably like, what? I don't understand. To kind of put it in like blunt, just right in your face kind of terminology here. What that basically means is for guys, to identify a guy, he usually has something called a penis, a Johnson, a ramrod, a willy, a stiffy, a joystick, a schlong, and whatever else you can think of. I think of, every time I say the word Johnson, I think of, oh my God, what is it? It's the...
I think about the cream-filled donut.
No. They look up in the sky and it's like, it's a Johnson. They're trying to figure out what the ship is that's flying over them. And it's got, God damn it. Oh, sorry. My swears have gone out the window at this point. The Spy Who Shagged Me. Those ones. You ever seen it?
I don't think so.
Spy Who, Austin Powers. Thank you.
Oh, that seems like a very Austin Powers thing to say.
Every time there was like some sort of like object, like a submarine or like a spaceship, people were like, "What is that?" It's a Johnson. And then as they like say it, they're actually holding like a hot dog and stuff. So it's funny humor. But for women, to identify a woman, typical attributes are boobs and a vagina, tits and bits, knockers and a fanny, bacon hangers and beef curtains. That's not the most flattering one, but it's my favorite one. Fun bags and foofs. That's F with 2 O's and then an F at the end. I have no idea where that even comes from, but I pulled up like this word thing and there were tons of them on there. And I'm like, this is amazing. I've learned more terms now than I ever wanted to.
I'm also going to add that because I was just looking through the notes a little bit and I don't think that we have it on the updated notes. It's not what I was going to say.
No. Sparrow hates that term. Every time I say it, she's just like,
well, that's okay. That's Sparrow.
Yeah.
Poor Sparrow. But no, I was just going to say that these are all like biologically like what your sex is. And I want to clarify that like sex and gender are two different things. So if you identify say you are a trans woman or a trans man, like you too can have, a foof or a schlong, vice versa. And still, identify as either, a man or a woman or non-binary and otherwise, just to kind of, put that in there. So that way people are like, well, I'm a trans man and I have a vagina. It's like, yes, you do. Yes, you do, sir. You too can have a vagina.
Yeah, gender, we'll go over this later, but gender refers to characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. So that includes like behaviors, roles associated with being a man or a woman, like this is a man's world or kind of a thing like that, as well as relationships with each other. Gender varies from society to society and can change over time. It's completely different than what sex is or gender identity, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Can we jump into the next one, or do you
Yeah,
want to?
so this is a really interesting thing about like what sex is there's this other thing called intersex. Why don't you talk about what intersex is?
So, intersex, if we're looking at according to Planned Parenthood, intersex is a general term used for a variety of situations in which a person is born with either like a reproductive system or sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the boxes of either female or male. Sometimes doctors do surgeries on intersex babies and children to make their bodies fit the binary ideas of male and female. Doctors will always assign intersex babies a legal sex, male or female, in most states, but just like with non-intersex people, that doesn't necessarily mean that's their gender identity. Being intersex is a naturally occurring variation in humans, and it isn't a medical problem. So therefore, medical intervention like surgeries or hormone therapy on children usually aren't medically necessary. Being intersex, I was so good until
You
there.
got this. You
I
got
do. Being intersex is also more common than most people realize. So it's hard to know exactly how many people are intersex, but yeah, estimations suggest that about 1 to 2 in 100 people born in the US are intersex, which I will add to this. I was just telling you about this earlier, I think during a Telegram thing. We were messaging each other. But no, I was watching a video on Facebook where this guy was ripping into like a conservative Republican on, again, like intersex and bills and all the stupid stuff that's happening everywhere else and whatnot. But no, he presented an interesting fact is that the percentage of people born as intersex is around the same percentage as people born with red hair.
Huh.
So I thought that was really interesting. So I'm like, so it happens common, but not as common enough as like all these Republicans and conservatives really think that it's happening. And it's like, y'all need to really, really
read a book.
Go touch some grass, please.
Yeah, just like
gosh.
It's ridiculous.
It also happens in animals too. Like animals can also be intersex and or show interesting traits that doesn't necessarily fit the binary, which I can give a great example because I didn't know this until a couple years ago. But actually, female hyenas, they have a pseudopenis. So that's interesting.
A pseudopenis.
Yes, it's a penis, but not really a penis. Like, it's actually very difficult for hyenas to properly mate. First off, female hyenas are actually more dominant than the male hyenas. And it sucks, but female hyenas actually give birth through their pseudopenis. And that's why there's not a whole lot of hyenas, because they usually don't live. So, but in order to, do in order to reproduce, they, kind of suck it back up in themselves, and then it turns into a vagina. So and that's probably why, my new persona fits so well, because I'm like, I enjoy the non-binary. My persona is a hyena with freaking antlers. Hooray! It's a paradox.
I don't remember what Felix and I were talking about, but he was telling me about how some animals have 3 penises. Oh. And I'm just like, that just seems too much
sharks
work.
Have 2.
They have 2 penises?
Yeah, I think most shark species have 2.
That is interesting.
I never heard of a 3, so
Well, let me see. What animals have 3
I don't know.
penises?
Oh, the search history.
3 penises. I just put 3 penis because I have no idea
3
what the plural penis is.
Peni? No?
Is it peni?
I have no idea.
I could ask Felix. I just don't want to right now. No, I don't know. It doesn't give me an exact answer. But yeah, if you want to find out how many penises or whatever animals have, Google's right there for you.
Just do be careful what you Google. Don't end up with a virus on your computer or smartphone or tablet.
And be careful how you Google. You don't necessarily want to Google yourself when Googling.
Yeah, don't do that.
Something that kind of goes into intersex that's not really talked about very often. In fact, if I throw out the name Lady Gaga, you might know what I'm about to talk about, because it was like a rumor that Lady Gaga was a hermaphrodite
Yes.
at one point, but that's actually not true.
Nope.
Hermaphrodites typically have both male and female sex organs that could be internal, external. It's just really, it's not like something that happens very often, but it does happen. And so that's one of the things that can be part of, which is intersex.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see the one interview that she had with like this guy who was like really pressing her about whether or not she had a penis? And she's like, "Who cares?" She's like, "I don't care, and my fans don't. So why are you
Yeah,
asking?" I'm
right.
like, "You go, queen."
I actually have a list of celebrities who are part of the LGBTQ community that you may not know about. I'll go over those in a little bit. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that'll be a fun thing.
Within intersex, there are also things called genetic mutations.
Woot.
Woot. This is the fun part because I have a genetic mutation, which is just dandy. Can I just say that much? Each person normally has one pair of sex chromosomes in each cell. The Y chromosome is present in males who have one X and one Y chromosome. So XY is male and XX is female. However, there are lots of mutation chromosome disorders that can complicate all of this. I have a list of the chromosomes that you can look up and Google because a lot of them are really extensive, have a lot of information. I just didn't want to go over every single one. I will go over the one that I have, which is Klinefelter syndrome, which depending on the website you look at, one says that it's super rare. The other one in this case says that it happens 1 in 650 newborn boys. And typically it's not usually detected unless a very specific genetic test called a Qrow type test is done, which genetics aren't really done on babies. Like, here's something interesting. Did you know that when babies are born, they're not blood typed?
Oh, I
Yeah.
did not know that. I thought that we were. It's actually funny because I have no idea what my blood type is. I should probably figure that out.
The only reason a baby would be blood typed is if the mom has blood type disorders or issues, that then the baby would need to be blood typed to figure out if they also have it as well. But 9 times out of 10, people who come in for their records assume that because they had a blood test done or they had a blood panel done, that their blood was typed. And that is not the case at all. Just like a random thing out there. If you want to know what it is and you want to do it for free, it's not recommended, but go to your local blood bank. They'll type your blood right then and there for you. Whether you donate or not, they'll do it, which is really interesting. I think I'm O positive, so I can give blood to multiple different people, but as a person to receive blood, I can only receive O positive blood backwards. So
Oof.
I think that's how it goes. Maybe I have that wrong. Whatever.
I don't know.
With Klinefelter's, I have an extra chromosome. It's an X. Now, interestingly enough, that extra X does not mean it's a female chromosome. It's just extra chromosome that just happens to be there. It's also known as 47XXY. With that, I have a whole bunch of things that go wrong. So I will always have enlarged breasts. So I kind of have boobs, 1 or 2, if not both testicles will descend or not descend. The weird thing is with mine, and I know might be a little bit too much information, but maybe there are people out there that have the same thing. Both will be descended, and then every once in a while, one will go up, and then it'll come back down. I'm not sure why. It just does, and it kind of drives me nuts. Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, "Come on, get back down," and then I'll just keep walking or something like that.
You ever just I don't know, push it out?
No.
No.
It just kind of does its own thing.
I don't know. I don't have testicles. I don't know how that works. So I don't know.
We also have a smaller than average penis. So a much, much smaller. So I really just don't have adequate, in my opinion, equipment to really do the deed. The other thing is I don't have a lot of testosterone, which is kind of necessary in males, go through puberty and to have a sex drive. I don't have a sex drive. I literally do not have one. I take in testosterone through gel and I rub it on my shoulders every day. And that's about as good as it gets. But as far as wanting or craving the act of sex between one person and another, let's just say this, I could go a whole lifetime and not have sex and still be happy.
I mean, that's fine.
Yeah. The other thing too is that with that, there are complications. It upsets all my hormones in my body. So I have to take pills to bring down this level, or I have to take in excess amounts of different types of vitamins to get those hormones to go back up to where they need to go. I have the ability to develop autoimmune diseases out of the air, which is fun.
Oh.
Yay for that.
I
So
love that.
yeah, I love it so much. So there's a lot of complications to go with it. Part of me, it kind of falls into intersex too a little bit, but part of me, like when I found this out mentally, I think my brain kind of just like my mind split in half, like splitting a boulder in half, and then it just kind of falls over. And I'm just like, well, what does that make me? Does that mean I'm a male or a female? Does that mean I'm supposed to be what I am supposed to be? And there was a period of time where I just didn't really know what I was. I do now know after researching it a little bit further. We'll go over that later when we go over pronouns. Is it pronouns? No. Is it in pronouns?
No,
No, it might be.
no,
I think it might
I
be
think
in
it's a gender.
sexual.
No,
I think it
it's
might be
gender
in
because
gender and
pronouns
sexual
is something
orientation.
different.
Yeah. Now there are other genetic mutations that can fall into intersex and a few other things. So there's XX male, which happens 1 in 20,000 individuals. There's XXX female. Now I tried to Google this, and believe it or not, the first thing that pops up is porn. Because triple X. Think about it. So not the best.
Oh no.
Not the best phrasing there, but if you scroll far enough, you'll find the information you need. Happens in about 1 in 1,000 female newborns. XY female, which XY is typically a male denomination, happens 1 in 80,000 individuals. And then there's something called Turner syndrome, which is like Klinefelter's, I think, but it's 1 in 2,000 newborns. So there's a whole variety of them out there. I don't like to go into genetics too much. It's not something I'm familiar with 100%, but it is really interesting to look into. It's just kind of like a fun little read. If you're like, I wonder what this is, and then you just kind of go for it.
Just to clarify, I don't think that I have any genetic mutations, unfortunately. I'm not an X-Men.
You can, man, I am an X-Man woman.
You
man.
are.
Questioning. The interesting thing is you can get genetic testing done to see if there are any. I wouldn't really recommend it if you don't need to, because it can be really expensive. But if it's something that's covered in your insurance and you're curious, go for it. So let's talk about pronouns.
Pronouns, they're really fun, I think, anyway. You know, if you run into like your old conservative grandpa or something that's like, I don't have any pronouns. Like, okay, no pronouns. Like,
I'm a novice noun.
You're a novice?
Yeah, because there's pros and novices. Beginners. I'm a beginner noun. Get it? Pro noun.
I will hang up.
You're welcome. Anyway, continue.
Gosh dang it. Okay, goodness. So what are pronouns? You've definitely heard this from like your English teacher or something throughout the years, you know. So pronouns are words that replace nouns in a sentence. So such as you, we, or they. Most of the time we use pronouns without giving them a second thought. But when we're working to be inclusive of people of all gender identities, it is very important to consider our use of gendered pronouns when referring to people. So with that being said, what are your preferred pronouns?
What did I put on? Let me go scroll down because I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. So I am he, him, identifies as male, but questioning. We'll talk about questioning in a little bit.
Okay.
What are your pronouns?
I recently, when I say recently, it's been honestly probably going on 2 years of me like experimenting. But I can probably confidently, why do I say probably? Confidently say that I prefer they, them pronouns, which would throw me into a non-binary sort of spectrum. And here's the best way that I can like help others like understand like why somebody would choose like a certain pronoun for themselves. So for example, if you have gone your entire life and you were always referred to as like a he, him, or a she, her, or whatever, and you had no problem with that, like none whatsoever, you probably don't need to change, you know, or have any sort of dysphoria, like, you know, with the pronouns. Now, for example, with me, I have always been like a she, her, like whatever, because I was born biologically a female. My sex is female. This is the difference between sex and gender here, which we'll get more into gender here in a little bit. But like, I've always kind of felt like that ew, gross, like feeling in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't really like that. That doesn't feel very empowering to me. I'm like, I don't know. And then as I got older, I realized that non binary was a thing. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. Tell me more. And it's like, well, you can choose they, them pronouns. And it kind of gives me, to me, feels like I get more power from it
You
because I'm
get a
like, aha,
choice.
I'm like, yeah, I get like a choice on whether or not I want to present as more feminine or more masculine. It gives me that, like, central ground for me anyway. There are people that enjoy he, they, or she, they. There are other ones that's like, oh God, what is it? It's like Z, zer, or something. I'm
Yeah.
not exactly entirely sure what that is. So if I get it wrong, I'm so sorry.
Wasn't it speculation that it had to do with like drag queens? Oh, no. Transgender.
No,
It had to do with trans people.
yes, yes.
Yes.
So, and actually, since we're kind of on that, like, ish, since you mentioned that, so that's something else that I've been experimenting with and kind of like, I've been talking to my therapist and like, it's because I'm in a more safe, like, space to express myself and really, like, come into, like, my identity and, like, really do some self reflecting and whatnot and therapy again. I have realized that I'm pretty heavy into the, like, trans masculine spectrum.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I am. So for example, I don't think that I want bottom surgery. I don't know that I think that part kind of freaks me out a little bit. But like top surgery, I do not want my boobs.
Well, of
They can
course it
go
is.
away.
No one wants to know that, someone's going to knife around down there. That's like, no thanks.
Yeah, no, I get that, but like I don't know. I've never felt comfortable like with my chest, and like I've always like either worn like a sports bra or like, and recently I got a binder for myself and I was like, oh my God, and I'm like, this feels amazing. And like since I've gotten that, I'm like, man, all of my shirts feel like they look correct. And I'm like, this is what I've wanted like forever. And like again, through therapy, I realized, oh, that's why I viscerally like was terrified to go through like female puberty. It's because I didn't want boobs. Like I wanted nothing to do with like the female puberty like at all. So that's why I firmly feel like, landed among the non-binary, they, them, like trans masculine sort of grounds there. Cause like I want some masculine traits, but not like everything, I don't think. But like I said, gender expression and identity is on a spectrum, so you just never know. I don't know. Anyway, but that's pronouns. Definitely, just respect people's pronouns. It's okay to like make mistakes, once in a while, but as long as like, you correct yourself and whatnot, like that's great. But like if you purposely like misgender somebody and like use like their wrong pronouns, like just to blatantly ignore it, like here's my like my other swear word, you're a piece of shit. Like just stop. Like no. So yeah, that's pronouns and stuff.
The other thing with like pronouns in general, I feel like there are people out there that get really upset when someone's like, did you just assume my pronoun? Those are not my pronouns.
Gender. Yeah.
Did you just assume my gender? Like things like, but no, pronouns in general, like some people get really upset that people just don't know. And let's be honest here, 100%, no one can read your effing mind, okay? It's just not possible. Do not get your panties up in a twist or in a bunch if someone doesn't get your pronoun right off the bat. It might help if you wear a badge saying what your pronouns are. But if you yourself are not telling someone what they are, how is that other person supposed to actually know? There's no reason to get upset about that. Now, there is reason to get upset if they do know, and like you said, they're using it improperly on purpose.
Right.
That's a totally different story. But for the most part, I think there's a lot of people just don't understand it. There's this culture of like, where I'd say like an older generation. So anyone like in their 40s and up, maybe, or 50s and up, they're just not familiar with it. They maybe don't understand it. It's kind of confusing to them. So, I don't take offense to a lot of people in that range going further up because I get it. It wasn't something that happened during their time. Maybe some of them can learn, but like in the elderly, I'm not going to make an elderly person try to figure out my pronoun. I'm not going to make them try to understand it or learn it more than what they already need to know now. I'm just going to let them do their thing. But if there's education that can be done, then let's do it. But the other thing is I think maybe in group settings, it would be nice if people did wear like a little badge or a little icon, maybe like a little, I don't know, ribbon that says, he, him, they, them, identify as this. And that makes it a lot easier to get to know someone so that way you can get their pronouns down. You don't have to do it all the time, but like in settings like at Pride, that would be amazing if everyone did that, because then you could talk to someone and be like, oh, these are your pronouns. Okay, let me absorb this and then let's talk. I think it'd be a much better place. There was a little bit
Yes.
more understanding.
Yeah, exactly. So actually with like the topic of badges and stuff like that. So I know that more workplaces and stuff are becoming more aware of people like, using different pronouns and whatnot and stuff like that. So you can actually, there's some places that you can add like a request, hey, can I put like, my pronouns on my badge? Or like sometimes, and actually right now with Pride Month and whatnot, here, go to Walmart. Everybody has a Walmart, first you should. Walmart and most retailers, they will actually have little pronoun pins. I recently picked some up at my local Walmart. They have all kinds of like different pronouns like she, her, he, him, they, them. They also have mixtures of he, they, and she, they. But those are really great options if you want to like use those for like events or like work or stuff like that. I do know that at least my Pride event that I went to last year locally, they had not only did they have like flags like they were giving out, but they also had like pronouns and stuff like that. So there you go. They were also like really cheap too. They were like $2. So like the pins at Walmart, they were nice little enamel pins.
Something else that goes with pronouns is gender dysphoria.
Oh yes.
So gender dysphoria is a really interesting thing that happens. Picture yourself in front of a mirror, and what you see in front of you is you yourself. But those who have gender dysphoria don't feel comfortable in the body that they see in the reflection. And so, in this kind of sense, a badge or something when it comes to pronouns to kind of help them navigate who they are, it might be good for them to use a pronoun or a badge that others can help help you figure out what it is or who you are and navigate it a little bit better. But gender dysphoria is a really interesting thing. I guess you could say I kind of deal with just a small fragment of it. I see my body in the mirror and I present male. That's how I see myself. I've got enlarged breasts, a much bigger stomach, but more than anything, I just present male. Inside, though, I feel different than that. Yeah, I'm a guy, but I also feel very feminine and very kind of female forward as well. There are just things that I do, like the way that I talk, the way that I walk, that I feel very much flow out, woman, female empowerment than it does male. And I have to remind myself, you look like a guy. Maybe someone may not understand, what you're doing or how you're presenting yourself. It's like this constant battle. I've thought about talking about it with my therapist. I just don't know how to really approach it. So
I understand this because, as I mentioned earlier, I hate my boobs. So like I
love mine. I absolutely love it.
Well, you can have mine.
Oh, sweet. I would love to know what my bra size is. I would happily wear a bra under my clothes, and so that way I can have that definition showing. But
there you go.
I don't know. Like maybe the reason I color my hair more like pink and purples is because maybe that's just an expression of what I feel like I am inside, rather than what society tells me that I should be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I will say my dysphoria has kind of like increased because I've talked it over again with my therapist, and I'm like, I think I'm becoming more, and this is going to sound maybe a little weird, but it might make sense. I'm becoming more self-aware of myself and like how I have always wanted to express, and then like how things like have developed. And now like a lot of times I'm like almost horrified. I'm like, oh my God, I could have had this and I did not because shitty, family situation and whatnot. But I'm like, oh, I'm an adult now. And I'm like, I technically could do the things that I want to and like, say like have top surgery and whatnot and feel better. But also like, I now realize that I fall into the spectrum of like trans identity in like a sort of a way. And now it's like, it's really scary because it's like, I don't know if I'm able to get like that sort of care, like and whatnot, so I can stop feeling this way. But like it again, like it's really increased like over the past like couple months. I'm like, oh, I really hate how this looks on me. I'm like, ew. Or like I'll get constantly like, oh, excuse me, ma'am, or miss, or like lady. Like I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
So, oh, I don't know if you know this, but I chopped all of my hair off for fun, so my head is very much shaved. So,
Rad. I
so
expect pictures.
oh, I can send you one right now. Like, I won't send you like I'll just send you like a top like up picture because I'm currently just in my boxers. So at least they're
I love
fun
it.
though. They're Cheetos. They got Cheeto, the Chester Cheetah Tiger. What's Cheetah Tiger Cheetah? Jesus Christ.
You can do it. I got shoot, I've lost my train of thought. Dang it rubbed off on me. I don't know, something.
So-
While I'm waiting for that picture, let's talk about what gender is. We'll talk about gender and then gender identities. As we mentioned before, gender refers to the characteristics of women, men, girls, and boys that are socially constructed. Keep that in mind. This includes norms, behaviors, roles associated with being a man, a woman, girl, or a boy, as well as relationships with each other. A social construct, gender varies from society to society and can change over time. So, let's talk about gender identities. There's lots of different identities that we've gone over, and they may be a little confusing, but you can always go back and re-listen. Oh, yeah, I like that. That's nice.
Thanks.
That's cool.
I've never. I've
You should totally shave like lightning bolts or like something in the side of your sideburns.
Oh, see, I've done that before in like past like hairstyles. I've never shaved like my entire head before. I've had like a mohawk
This
before.
is
Where
what we
I've had
call a buzz cut. It's not necessarily shaved.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, well, listen, this is grown out. My hair grows like incredibly like fast, so like it's only been like a week or so, and it's already grown like at least half an inch. Like, oh my god. So,
Right.
but yeah, so like I've never like buzzed like my entire head. So I just went into my usual salon, and I'm like, all right, do it up, just get rid of it. It grows back anyway. But I do plan on dyeing it real fun colors for Pride. So hooray!
Oh, you should. I still have a see. Tomorrow
Should
the
be.
official? No, it's Thursday is the first day of June. I haven't decided what colors
The
I'm going to do for
listeners
Pride
don't
Month.
know, but it is June.
Yeah, it is June. Sorry. It's not May 30th. We're not recording this on a different day.
No, it is Pride. Like, what are
It
you
is
talking
Pride
about?
Month. Yeah.
Yeah. This is like June 3rd. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So some gender identities as follows. One you already talked about is non-binary. Person who doesn't conform to traditional binary beliefs about gender. So not identifying with male or female. They're just what we call you,
Yes.
essentially.
Essentially just androgynous.
Yeah, there's transgenders, someone either transitioning or completely transitioned from female to male or male to female, also known as FTM or MTF. You may see those
Hmm.
often. There's also gender neutral, agender, pangender, gender queer, two spirit, third gender. Two spirit and third gender, as you and I learned, has some Asian and Polynesian cultures involved with that, which is really interesting. I definitely
Also Native
recommend
American.
looking it up because it's really cool. And then there's also trans masc and trans femme. Those are people who typically take steps and measures to change something to make them either more masculine or more feminine, but may not consider themselves to be totally trans. This is
Like
common with
me.
non-binary people like you.
Yes.
So
Oh, I was gonna add something. I can't remember what it was.
I'll just keep going.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I think a lot of people get gender identity and sexual orientation mixed up.
Yes.
Well, there's the sexual identity, there's gender identity, and then there's sexual orientation.
Hmm.
I mean, the whole topic itself, like we could talk forever on this particular episode, but we can't. We can only have so much time to go for. But if you have time, look into it. It's such an interesting little bit. And it's not a little bit, like a little interesting little star in the universe, you know? You look into it and it bursts into other little stars and little planets, and it's fascinating.
I was gonna make a little comparison. If anybody has ever watched, it's an older TV show, but they did kind of like bring it back and like a newer version of it with the similar characters. But it is an older TV show from the early like mid 2000s. It's
My Little
called
Pony.
No. No, it's called The L Word. It is a show based around like lesbians. So that's why it's called The L Word. Haha. Anyway,
Lesbian lovers.
Yes, all of the lesbians. It does cover like gays and also like trans people too and whatnot. But like I said, so this show again, I'd recommend you be like 18 and up to watch this because there's content in there that's not appropriate. So if you do watch it, keep in mind that this did come out in the early 2000s. So there's a lot of topics in there that like the world has both
I'm so
grown
sorry.
and your
I have
what's up?
hiccups. I've got
Oh no,
hiccups. They're coming out of nowhere.
it's okay.
I'm just waiting for you to
Anyway,
say something.
it's okay. Anyway, but no, in the show, this one character, her name is Alice, she ends up making like a whole network of people that like have kind of like had sex with each other. But so she's like connecting the dots of everybody. But like that just kind of reminded me of like what you said. So like, there's gender, pronouns, sexual orientation, and sexual identity. They all kind of intermesh with each other, but they also kind of separate. It is a, like I said, and like you said, it's a star, it's a network, it's a constellation of things. All of this is on a spectrum and is constantly moving and changing.
You know what's interesting? I think like I thought of this right as you were talking. You know how like people do those burn art things where they burn wood and it kind of like sparks and sizzles outwards. I can't think of what it's called. You ever seen it?
Oh, yes. No, they use like electrical currents.
Yeah, electrical current. So
Yes.
there's a type of electrical current where you basically shove it into the wood and it creates this spark at the very beginning and then it branches out like a giant tree. That's kind of
Hmm.
like how I see all of this that we're talking about. And it's
Yeah.
always growing and, developing into new things. It's really fascinating.
Another thing that I will add, we were talking about Two Spirited and what was the other thing you said?
Third gender.
Yes. So those are actually older terms in like cultures from around the world, like you were saying, and especially like native cultures, because it's a little funny and ironic that like these terms are quote unquote considered new, but they've been around for thousands and thousands of
Oh,
years.
yeah.
So people that were, that identified as non-binary or trans, or maybe they were actually like intersex and whatnot, these people in these ancient cultures were actually deemed holy or like, gifted or presented as healers or shamans. It's really cool. So like I just find it a little funny that like there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh my god, well this is such a new thing and I think it's just a trend or a fad or whatever." It's like actually not. We're actually just kind of going back to our roots. And I'm gonna tell you what, like whoever I saw it on a post, but somebody was like, "No, Greece was not gay at all." There's a whole island that's called the Isle of Lesbos, and you think Greece is not gay? Like,
Oh my God, I know. I think it's hilarious that there's a whole island called Lesbos.
yes, it's so funny.
But I was actually looking into that too. I wanted to see how far back like gender norms and identities went back. And it's so
Oh,
interesting that it's repeated over and over and over again in new like eras. But we're talking like BC, like before Christ died and all that
mhm,
stuff. Way back when there were always these depictions of male, male and female, female,
mhm.
or I guess you could say trans,
Yes.
hieroglyphs and things of that nature. They were always in existence. It's always been there. It's just always been, I guess you could say history will always repeat itself, but I feel like the more it repeats itself, the better the information coming out. So yeah, maybe it's new for people to say, yeah, this is new. It's just like, and you know what? You're kind of right. Like they're kind of right. It's newer because it's history repeating itself, but now we have more information available for us to use.
Yes. If you want, I'm not trying to offend anybody, and I want to clarify this right now. Like, if you are Christian or believe anything like in that sort of thing, fantastic, as long as you're not a douche canoe. But anyway, so like, fantastic. But like, that honestly, like, Christianity as a whole is what honestly started a whole lot of issues with like those cultures and like really restricted them on like, nope, there's only male, only female, like that's
Yeah.
it. But really, like I said, it's a spectrum and it's been around for thousands of years. But because of like, Christianity and all of that, they really erased so much of like this kind of, history with humanity as a whole.
Like the Bible's a good book of history, but it's not the complete history. I
No,
think
it's not.
if I understand, King James removed a crap ton of crap. So
Yes,
there's a
yes.
lot of things that are missing. But that's the thing. It's just one book. There's hundreds, if not thousands of hundreds of thousands, millions of books out there. Information, manuscripts, things that have all this information on there that you can look into and see beyond just the Bible. I always
Yes.
recommend. I mean, I come from a religious background. I never really like. I'm Mormon, so we have something called the Books of Mormon. Don't even get me started. It's an addition to the Bible. I never found
It's not
myself
the
as a
stage
religious
play.
person. I feel like there's way more than it's a good like stepping stone, but it's not the whole enchilada. There's way more out there.
Right, right. I was like also raised in like a more religious background, but like
The
I
Bible
I
Belt.
yes, the Bible Belt. Ugh. Anyway, I never really like it never clicked for me for whatever reason, and I'm not saying that I don't believe because I do. I would consider myself like a believer of like everything. I'm like, hey, if this one thing has to like exist, then everything's got to exist. So like I can
Yeah.
share beliefs and like values and morals from like all kinds of different religions. I have respect for everybody's beliefs and everybody's like religions, as long as you're not a douche canoe and trying to shove it down somebody's throat, like and spreading misinformation or hate. I don't care what you do then, but like if you're doing
Yeah.
any of that, like go to a deserted island somewhere. go, go.
Yep, exactly. The last thing we want to go over is sexual orientation. That's a fun one because there's just a ton out there. Sexual orientation is about who you are or who you're attracted to, who you feel drawn to romantically, emotionally, and sexually. It's not one or the other. It's different than gender identity. Gender identity isn't about who you are attracted to, but who you are, male, female, genderqueer. Orientation is how you feel towards someone else. So, for instance, according to gaycenter.org, there's the more common ones. You guys are all familiar with the acronym LGBTQ+. So let me go over those real quick for you. So there's lesbian, that's woman on woman. I should probably say that probably better. Women who like women. Gay, which is men who like men. Bisexual, which is people who like men and women. Transgender, which is an umbrella term for people whose gender identity or gender expression differs from what is typically associated with their sex. So male to female, female to male.
Mhm.
There's queer, an adjective used by some people whose sexual orientation is not exclusively heterosexual or straight. This is an umbrella term, includes people who have non-binary, gender fluid, or gender non-conforming identities.
You
There's
just said
lots of
straight twice.
Did I say straight twice?
You said heterosexual or straight. I'm like, oh,
Well, okay.
homosexual.
According
Straight. There you go.
Well, here's the thing though, according to the gaycenter.org, heterosexual and straight are two different things.
Oh, well, never mind then.
I mean, I'm not going to question. I might look at it later and see what the difference is. There's one
Yeah, let
called
me know.
questioning. This is the one that I kind of fall into. Sometimes when the Q is seen at the end of the LGBT acronym, it can mean questioning. This term describes someone who is questioning their sexual orientation or gender identity. There's intersex. We've already gone over that one. Asexual, the adjective describes a person who does not experience sexual attraction. So I guess you could say I'm kind of asexual as well. Well, no, because I do have sexual attraction. It's just for not sexual, like human type. I guess the best way to explain it is I'm not like I like motorbike, like motorcycle guys, and they're like helmets and their gear and all that stuff. I love gear. I think it's amazing looking. I'm sexually attracted to that, but I'm not attracted to the person under it, essentially. It's so weird. I don't know how to really explain it, but that's the best that I can go with that. Non-binary, which we already went over. And then there's plus. The plus is used to signify all other gender identities and sexual orientations that letters and words cannot fully describe. Now, there are tons of them out there. We didn't list them all because I think there's like over 100 different of them. Or I don't want to really say it because every time I say the name, I just feel gross inside. What is Jeffree Star?
Ew.
I've always.
Okay, hold on. I'm not incredibly familiar, but I just know to say ew every time that like we discuss him. So I just identify Jeffree Star with just ew. Anyway.
Trying to figure it out.
Okay,
Like I'm trying to pull
he's
it
like a
up.
cosmetic artist and whatnot. So I just know that I can't remember what the reason is, but I know that he's like a piece of shit. So I don't know.
He just, I think at the beginning maybe. I don't even want to know. I don't know if he's a he or if he's a she. I don't know.
I cannot
Generally,
remember.
don't know. I don't know the pronouns for Jeffree Star, but I can't remember if it's Jeffree Star that has like 86 different sexual orientations. There's like a person out there that claims that they have like 100 or 200 sexual orientation, which is, in my opinion, impossible, and you're just doing it for attention. But
Okay. Nope, go ahead. I found out why he's being quote unquote canceled.
why?
So there's a video compilation of him using racial slurs.
Of course.
Also made some pretty disgusting jokes. Let's see. Called somebody a whore during an interview. So he's just not.
I mean,
Oh,
I've called one of my friends a whore before.
Well, I mean, not necessarily in the good term. Like, if you
Oh,
call me a whore, like, I don't care. Like, yeah, I'll be your whore. That's fine. He also has been accused of sexually assaulting underage girls.
what? No, I
So,
don't know if that's actually true or not, but still.
but still, I don't know. Again, not a professional. If you like Jeffree Star, hey, I don't know anything about him other than, again, from like friends and whatnot. They're like, nope, we don't support him, honey. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, whatever. So,
It's so interesting. Like when it comes to the community, I don't go with the flow of what the community always wants to do. Because guess what? I have something called a free thinking mind. Because I can think what I want to, I can have my opinions, and that doesn't always necessarily align with everything that the community has to offer or say.
right.
I don't necessarily like Jeffree Star, but that doesn't mean I don't hate them. I just don't necessarily like them.
Right.
Now, there are other people out there that I would fully 100% support, and that's Trixie Mattel and Katya. Love them. They're drag queens. They are the funniest duo I have ever come across, and they have a YouTube show called and they talk about different like topics and stuff every like week, and it's so funny. They've been on for a couple of years, but they're so great. I look at them and I'm like, you are who I aspire to be one day. Which
Yes.
is crazy. Now, before we let go, there's a couple of things I do want to go over real quick. We did put a tweet out and asked you all, what is your gender and sexual identity? And we got about 50 responses to this. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'll just read a few of what people said, and I'll keep the names private just in case people don't want to necessarily have their name on an episode or a podcast. We got cis male and bisexual, non-binary, non-binary pansexual, transmasculine pansexual. This one always gets me. Demigirl, demisexual, questioning biromantic. So there's a lot of these other ones. There's a lot of these other ones that I'm not familiar with, and there's just I don't really understand them. That's probably one of the few right there. I just don't get any of those terms, but kudos. Male aeroace, non-binary, and omnisumner somewhere within the ace spectrum. Got gender fluid and pansexual, demi-romantic, NB, not NV, but NB with a B, and pansexual.
I think is just a non-binary term.
Okay. Definitely tomboy, but I'm a woman, asexual, and lesbian.
Oh, a butch.
Yeah, butch. There you go. Cis male, straight, maybe like 20% gay. That's literally what they said. It's awesome.
Like, I'm like 20% gay, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. This brings up a really interesting factoid. So this person said female bisexual. Did you know that 90% of men who are gay prefer I think it's 90% is men are more likely to be gay, male to male, rather than male and also female. Whereas females are more likely to be actual bisexuals than just straight or a lesbian. It's really interesting.
Huh.
Okay, yeah.
I guess it makes sense. I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, it makes sense, but I don't know.
I'll put the numbers out there. I'll put them on the side. So men are more likely to, if they're going to branch out and be gay, they're more likely to only prefer male to male. Whereas bisexuals are usually more dominated by women because they actually do truly love male and female, which is really interesting. I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know. Maybe this is less. So it's what transmask, blob, and bivincian. I don't know what that is.
What? I don't know what that is either.
Bivincian or bivician, maybe?
I don't know.
Anywho, I appreciate everyone putting their stuff out there. So, woo. Thanks for
Yay.
commenting. And it helps when we do recordings and stuff, so then we can like put shout outs out there.
Yeah.
There's a whole load of celebrities out there that are LGBTQ plus, like for instance, Elliot Page. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I love him.
So Elliot Page transitioned male to female. No, female to male.
Yes.
And he is a hot. Apparently, Drew Barrymore is bisexual. Let's see, more people that we might know. Billy Porter. Do you know the name Billy Porter?
Yes.
Billy Porter is openly gay, which should be fairly obvious. Kristen Stewart. She is, what does it say that she is? Bisexual. Kate McKinnon, I believe, is lesbian. She's from Saturday Night Live. Lady Gaga, I believe, is bisexual. Aubrey Plaza, if you're not familiar with the name. April Ludgate from Parks and Recreation. She's also bisexual, but though she does say that she emanates masculine energy and is attracted to men and women. A whole host of them. So I definitely recommend looking those up too. I think we covered a lot of everything. So there's a lot of information to cover and not enough time to do it in.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
This has turned out to be a long episode, but that's fine.
That's okay.
Make a nice big art drawing.
If you guys are on Twitter and you do like post, pride artwork and stuff, tag us and we will retweet it for you. And so that way it can get circulated more often for you guys. We'll do that for you. Do we have anything else before we want to let go? I know that I need to take a poop, but that's not relevant.
I don't think so. No,
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think
I'm
good. Yeah, no, I think we did good.
Cool. Well, you guys know where to find us. If you have questions, you can reach us at From the Muzzle on Twitter. We have our Telegram group that you can join and talk. There's tons of people in there that are always talking like daily. And then you can always send us an email at talktothemuzzle@gmail.com if you want to send us like a story or questions and things of that nature. But other than that, everyone have a fantastic Pride Month, and we'll be back again with more Pride episode entertainment.
Hooray!
Hooray! And goodbye.
Everybody be safe and stay gay. Peace out.
Bye.